Welcome to Triad All-Stars. Where are they now? Hosted by Ryan Smith.
Hello there, and welcome back to Triad All-Stars. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and tonight I also have a Ryan on with me as we are in the process of recording the Robert Glenn High School Hall of Fame class of 2025. Candidates, obviously they were introduced back in earlier this year, but I wanted to get some of them on the program to talk about their Hall of Fame career at Glenn and just life in athletics. And so if you missed our previous episode with Josh Howard, go check that out, basketball star over at Glenn. But tonight I've got baseball alum Ryan Jacobs on the podcast sharing a first name with me. So Ryan's obviously a good name to have. Ryan Jacobs, welcome to Triad All-Stars. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start here. You played baseball at Glenn, part of the class of 2025. We'll get into your career and some other stuff in a little bit, but just what did that mean to you being getting that call, getting inducted back in January, and just being a part of the 2025 class at Glenn High School?
Oh, it was awesome to think of some of the guys that's come through Glenn and have played. A lot of guys have played college ball. A lot of guys have played professionally. It was an honor when Coach Stanley got in touch with me and let me know what was going on and being inducted into the class. Something that people are gonna remember me and know it through Glenn throughout the rest of my lifetime and however ever longer. But yeah, great honor to be inducted into the class of 2025.
And what do you remember about your time at Glenn, specifically baseball wise, and just being around the guys, being around the other athletes? What do you take away from your time at Glenn? And what do you remember fondly when you kind of look back on your time there?
Well, I remember at first it was a little intimidating. You had a pretty hardcore coach in Coach Imes back then.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And he was a great coach, but he not only coached baseball, but he coached for us to grow up to be men, and that was part of the deal there. But during Little League and coming up through All Stars and things like that, you're just always one of the best people and players. And then when you got to high school, I remember the very first practice we had. It rained, so we ended up going to a batting cage.
Oh boy!
And I was a freshman, but they combined a few of the freshman guys with the varsity team. We were all hitting in the batting cages, and it was quite a bit faster than I was used to seeing on the Little League fields over at Swaim Complex. And I remember just fouling a few balls off and was thinking, oh my gosh, is this what it's going to be like? And I got out of the cage, and Coach Imes, first thing he said to me was, this ain't Little League no more, son. If you want to be good, you're going to have to work at this. And from right then and there, I knew it was going to be a battle. And but the guys were great. The upperclassmen, they helped us out. I remember Matt Swaim talking to him, and he helped me through my JV year as a freshman at Glenn. But it was a great experience overall.
Yeah. And you also, not to leave your other sport kind of out in the dust, you were a standout in both baseball and basketball. But obviously baseball is kind of where you made your mark, leading the baseball to a Metro 4A title back in 1989, 1991, and 92. Metro All 4A conference player back in that time, basketball and baseball, both in 90, 91, 92. But it was really baseball, like I said, that made your mark, all state teams in 1991, 1992, and then ultimately led the team to the 4A state title in 1992, and then runner-up in 1990, 91. So obviously a decorated career for yourself at Glenn. And I believe you also had, if I'm not mistaken, in my research, you had the Most Valuable Player MVP award as well in 1992, if I'm not mistaken, on my research as well, co-valuable player.
Right.
And so then obviously you go on to the minor leagues and after high school. So talk to me about going to minor league baseball, professional leagues, and kind of what that was like.
It's kind of the same thing. When you jump from um, little league and travel ball and everything to high school, it's a big jump, and the competition gets a lot stiffer. Same thing when you start off in the minors. We had spring training my first year down in West Palm Beach, Florida, and there's 70 guys down there in spring training. Some of them don't speak English, and it's just a whole different world. You're kind of confined to one area in the country when you're playing and growing up. But then you get in where everybody can throw 90 and everybody can hit doubles, and the competition is a lot fierce, and there's a lot more people to have to go up against. So even though you're teammates and you're trying to win games in the minor leagues, you're also basically competing against your teammates to move up in the organization and try to get to the big leagues. But yeah, the same thing. Competition gets a lot fiercer, and you just have to grow and learn as you're going up.
Yeah. When you got to the minors, was there a story that you can tell us on the podcast that kind of stands out? Keep it within parameters for a podcast. But is there a
Right.
funny story? Is there something that kind of sticks out that really, just looking back over time, it was just a kind of either a funny moment, maybe something that you thought was just really key in as you kind of went into minor league and kind of established yourself in the professional ranks? Was there a moment that stuck out to you kind of in the beginning?
In the beginning, when I got drafted, the Braves and at that time the general manager John Sherholtz, they wanted me to come down actually to Atlanta before I went and started playing in rookie ball.
Yeah.
And actually, they brought me into the stadium during pregame practice on the field, and it was I think it wasn't Turner Field, Fulton County Stadium, I believe it was, back in '92, and I actually got to sit in the clubhouse with the big leaguers, with Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Greg Maddux, Deion
Yeah.
Sanders,
Yeah.
and needless to say, he was like deer in the headlights there. Dressed as number 99 in my uniform in the clubhouse. And they take me out to the bullpen during batting practice with the Braves. And my dad has it on film, but just having Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine watching me throw at 18 years
Absolutely.
old in the bullpen with Leo Mazzoni giving me tips in the bullpen was quite a eye-opening experience for sure.
Yeah. Um, well, I wasn't planning on going here, but I will since you kind of mentioned some of the games like that. When you watched baseball today, I'm assuming you still kind of keep up with it a little bit. Are you a Braves fan? Who's your team? What do we got?
Yeah, I'm still a Braves fan. They drafted me in '92, and I'll always show my support for the Braves.
Okay.
I actually grew up in Philadelphia, so I have a little bit of my heart goes to Philly too.
Really?
But yeah, I still keep up with the Braves and watch them. It's been a few years since since the last of the guys that I actually knew and played with are finally out of the league
Right. Right.
now because I'm getting a
Right.
little
Sure.
older.
Sure.
Yeah, still a Braves fan, absolutely.
Yeah. So for the baseball nerds that are going to listen to this podcast, I got two-part question for you, and then we'll kind of get back to your specific accomplishments.
Okay.
Being a baseball fan that you are, and the junkie that a lot of us are, um, talk to me about when you watch the game today. Obviously, there's things like the pitch clock we all know about, and then some of the people like Shohei Ohtani who can do things both ways and just crazy athletic. Is what sticks out about the baseball game today in 2025 versus back in the 2000s and in the 1990s? Whether it's a player like Shohei Ohtani, or is it something specifically within the game of baseball?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind with that is how much bigger and faster and more athletic all the guys are these days.
Yeah.
Back when I was playing, if you were hitting as a pitcher 91, 92, you were doing something. We had a couple guys like Mark Wohlers, Rudy Cianez, who they could get up there in the mid to upper 90s. But you turn on TV today, you got pitcher number one through the closer. They're all throwing 90, 95 to 100. It's crazy. A lot more flamethrowers out there, and of course, the hitters are just crushing balls, and a lot of people getting 40, 50 home runs a year, and people like Ohtani, and just absolutely amazing. I think I saw yesterday he was yesterday before he was actually pitching, and then he was hitting his DH and hit a home run in the same game. So that never happens when I was growing up.
Well, and I personally don't think he's going to be pitching for that much longer. I think he's going to be mostly hitting for the rest of his career. I don't know when that transition will be, but I don't think we're going to see what he's doing now much longer. It's just not sustainable, in my opinion,
Yeah.
especially if they want to reserve him for the rest of his career. And then, and again, you may not want to go into this, and I totally understand if you don't. For a team specifically, because back in the day, right, even before you played, right, you had teams like the Reds, the Royals, the Pirates, like they were the cash cows. They got the money. Now,
Right.
it's the Dodgers. Now it's the Giants. Now it's the Yankees, the Red Sox, et cetera, et cetera. And now we think of the Pirates, the Royals, the A's as those kind of bottom feeders, if you will, lack of a better word.
Right.
Why is that? Like, what is for those who may not be as baseball savvy who might listen to this? Why does that happen in baseball?
Well, I think obviously money is your number one answer there.
Yeah.
You get some people in the managerial positions and in the front office that know how to bring in the cash, and they can pay players, and they start stacking players on teams, and then you get teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers, Braves kinda, but their whole roster is like an all-star team, and then you're gonna fill it, you're gonna fill seats and have fannies in the seats there, and when you got 1 through 9 in your lineup is all stars basically, and that kind of leaves out your other teams that once you get in a couple losing seasons, it's hard to catch that back up. I'm actually interested in seeing how Paul Skeens will help the Pirates. They've been bottom for at least a decade or so now, and you got a phenom coming up throwing 102, and his ERA is ridiculous, and he's young, and I hope they can bring in enough money to sign him and start and build something around him. For a Pirate standpoint, and maybe get some of the smaller teams back up and have a little bit better competition.
Yeah, it's funny just watching baseball, and because obviously I grew up a Braves guy as well. We got some family members who are San Francisco Giants fans, even though they're not from that area. I think they just like the Giants. Right. Yeah, it's funny nowadays. You've got guys like the Ohtanis of the world, but you don't really see guys like I know we don't like to call it the steroid era, right? But back in the day, you had the Sammy Sosas, the Mark McGuires, the Ken Gifford Juniors, the Barry Bonds, if you will.
Right.
Aaron Judge is probably, and some of the other ones like Cal Raleigh, newer names, are probably the closest thing to that now. Why are we not seeing those home run kings like we used to see back in the day? Is it simply because of that era and kind of what it was, or is it more the bats and kind of how they're some of the bats that they're allowed to use now, or is it more the pitching has gotten better? What is it about the game now that we're not seeing kind of what we saw back in the day with those home run kings?
I honestly think it's probably more of the pitching. Like I said, back in the day, if you had 2 or 3 guys on your team that could throw low to mid 90s, that was great for your team. But now everybody's a flamethrower basically.
Yeah.
And I know the faster, if you get a hold to one, it's coming in fast, it's going to go, but it's actually catching up to it. So when you have so many guys, especially, starters don't even go as long as they used to anymore. 5-6 innings for a starter, and they're basically done, and they're bringing in kids out of the bullpen for 3-4 innings that are throwing 100 miles an hour, and that's just hard to come up with. It could be, there was rumors about juice balls and and things like that. One of the things I don't understand is back when it first started, when the Rockies over in Colorado first started, you know, 60% of their games were in the teens, 13 to 12, 15 to 14. You
Yep.
don't really see that anymore either. So, things happen. I don't really know exactly. I saw some like what they call like torpedo bats or something that
Yep,
some of
that's
the
right.
guys are
Yeah, yeah,
using
yeah.
for
That's
the
right.
season. I don't really know much about that as far as equipment goes and how the balls are made currently, but there was definitely some things that were giving people an advantage back when I was coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Transitioning now back to Glenn and your time and your specific athletic career. When you look back on Glenn and in your time in high school, it can be in baseball, basketball, or just as a student. Like, obviously, you're part of the Hall of Fame athletics class of 2025, but what really stands out from your time at Glenn as a whole? Like, what do you remember most? And for anyone who may be listening to this podcast who has kids kind of coming up and might be getting to high school soon, or people who are currently at Glenn, like what stands out about Glenn High School, Robert Glenn High School, and what makes that place special?
Well, I think for me it was mainly the camaraderie and the family oriented position of when we were coming up as kids. Um, you know, we were, especially for on the baseball field, the guys that I was with on those teams the 4 years I was there, and we didn't go out partying on weekends or staying out late. It was baseball basically 7 days a week, and our
Yeah,
parents and coaches were all involved with that throughout off season as well. It was a family oriented system. Everybody cared and wanted us to succeed. We had a lot of talent on those teams. Even when I was a freshman and I wasn't even on varsity. Um, I know they made the playoffs. I can't remember if they went to the state championship, but it was close. But for a number of years, you had Coach Himes and John Fowler and those guys, Greg Starbuck, the coaches, and they cared and they wanted our guys to succeed. And it was the families were involved, and it was just one small world for us, really.
yeah. Well, as we wind down here, Ryan Jacobs has been my guest today here on Triad All Stars. Let's get to know you a little bit outside of athletics. I'm going to give you a kind of rapid fire, and you can just kind of tell me first thing that comes to mind. We'll start with a softball pitch. What are some hobbies that you do nowadays, or maybe you did back in the day that you like to do when you're not tossing the ball around with your kids, or obviously back in the day when you were obviously swinging the bat.
Well, I still like coaching. I've got an older kid that was recently out of college and now I have an 8-year-old. So I'm starting it all back over, and I love coaching. I'm a little bit older and have some aches and pains, but I still love playing basketball. And we recently moved to near Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm a big fan of the beach.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the beach at all.
Right.
Do you have a favorite beach specifically that you enjoy going to?
We go to Surf City, Topsail Island,
Yep.
just probably
Yep.
about 30 minutes above Wilmington. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Um, what is your favorite? These will be more rapid fire. Do you have a
Okay.
favorite cuisine? What do you like best there?
Italian, definitely.
Okay, yeah, that's pizza, lasagna, all of the above, whatever.
I'm a big pasta fan.
Pasta. Okay, all right, all right,
Alfredo, spaghetti, lasagna. Yep.
okay. Um, Best moment, just kind of that you can remember from your high school career. It can be something very quick, like just something that sticks out, like kind of a moment between you and one of the guys on the team. Was there a guy that kind of like guy that you kind of keep in touch with today from the team? Was there a guy that you kind of that you guys bonded and you were kind of in the thick of things together when you were out on the diamond or on the basketball court?
Yeah. One of our other pitchers and outfielders, Jimmy Bradford, we grew up and become best friends and actually had a real estate company together. I
Oh,
just
nice.
remember a humongous high five when we won the state championship running onto the
There you
field.
go. Yeah. And it's cool having, I will say, just looking back on my career, I didn't play baseball, but I did other athletics myself. But yeah, it's
Sure.
cool to see those moments now when you're out of high school, out of college, and kind of look back and the friends that the camaraderie, and just even keep in touch with them
Absolutely.
down the low. That's what makes, even in like all the professional athletes that retire now, they say they don't miss the game, right? They miss the camaraderie, they miss the locker room,
That's right.
they miss
Absolutely.
the bonding with the teammates on the road trips, getting to stay in the hotels, even during home games. So yeah, like that's the camaraderie that the sort of guys miss. Um, when you are not doing anything in particular, if you're just kind of stuck at home, is there like, do you like to read? Do you like to cook? Is there like a specific hobby that you do kind of around the house?
I like to cook. If anybody listening is familiar with my Facebook page, they will see a lot of recipes that I just share so I can save them and look them up later and try to whip those up in the kitchen.
Yeah. Um, do you have a favorite recipe? I'm assuming it's lasagna of some sort.
I've got a good Cajun chicken pasta recipe.
Oh, there you go.
We actually
That's
we
awesome.
actually had it a couple of nights ago, and I had to make two dishes of it because we had uh, some of our college kids were back home for a couple of days, and yeah, it was a massive amount, but we crushed it.
Oh yeah, that sounds wonderful. Oh, you're making me hungry. Okay. All right. Anyway, Ryan Jacobs here on Triad All Stars. Ryan, as we wound down here, last few questions for you. Um, Tell me, you just kind of again, class of 2025. Was there an athlete in that class that you either played with or someone that you didn't play with, but you look at their career and you're just like, wow, like I'm in the class with him or her. How is that? Who was someone that was there anyone you looked up to in this class, or someone that you maybe played alongside, or just really enjoyed watching their career?
Uh, that would be Ray Farmer. Ray Farmer
Yeah,
was in our class. Obviously inaugurated with me a few months ago, but he ended up going to Duke to play football, and he played professionally in the NFL. Ray is an upstanding gentleman. He was a phenomenal athlete, a great friend, and his family is awesome. When I saw those guys, I haven't seen them for probably, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And his dad, when I walked in, his dad saw me, and first thing he did was give me a great big hug. I love that family, and I'm proud to know Ray.
Ray Farmer, friend of the podcast. He has been on the show before. Like
Awesome.
gonna get him hopefully back on soon. Yeah, Ray's a good guy.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, last question for you. Again, Ryan Jacobs, my guest today here, class of 2025, in Glenn High School, class of 1992, graduate there of Robert Glenn High School. Anyone who is listening to this podcast, friends, kids, whoever, what do you want people to know about Ryan Jacobs, the legacy of Ryan Jacobs in athletics at Glenn High School, and kind of if when people walk the halls at Glenn High School, they see your name there with baseball, class of 2025 Hall of Fame. What do you want your legacy to be when people walk the halls at Glenn and see you mentioned among the Hall of Fame and other athletics that are athletes that were there at Glenn High School?
First thing that comes to mind is I want them to see that I was in multiple sports. I also played basketball for 4 years at Glenn. A lot of people, it's a little bit different world out there nowadays.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
got travel ball with baseball, and a lot of people are confined to one sport, and it can burn you out, honestly. Especially being younger, you just want to have fun. So if you can play other sports, play other sports. I was fortunate and athletic enough to be able to play basketball. I wanted to play football, but my parents never got me into like Pop Warner and all that stuff. So, and then getting with Coach Himes, they didn't let me play football, but I would enjoy that too. But definitely, track, tennis, whatever, golf, swimming. If you can do other sports, do it. Do it while you get it, while you have it.
Yeah. Um, Well, I lied. One more question because you mentioned this. Do you feel like two sport athletes are still a thing, or well, I shouldn't say two sport, multi sport athletes? Are you in favor of that since you were one? Do you like people sticking to one sport depending on the kind of their level? What is your thought on having being a multi sport athlete, especially in high school?
In high school, definitely for being multi-sport athletes. When you know that you're going to be better or the best at one particular sport after high school, going into college or professionally, obviously, those other sports can go back to leisure and hobby time. But during that time, if you have the opportunity to do multiple sports, I love the guys on my basketball team too. I miss those guys, and I still keep in touch with a lot of my teammates to this day. So I don't know. I just feel like if you have the opportunity and you're blessed enough to be able to play multiple sports, then do it while you have the chance to do it. As you get older, you kind of, like you start getting bad knees and bad back and stuff, and you can't play the things that you wanted to. So while you have it, go for it. And then, if you're disciplined to one sport after that, just to get into college or professional, then that's the time to do that.
Ryan Jacobs, class of 1992, graduate of Robert Glenn High School, class of 2025, Hall of Fame, athletics class 2025. Ryan Jacobs, so much. Thank you so much for coming on the Triad All Stars. We'll talk to you down the road. Hope to have you back on in the future. Thank you again for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me.
And that will wrap up this episode of Triad All Stars with Ryan Jacobs. I'm your host, Ryan Smith. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you next time.